Hello everyone, Xeno What If here. Bring in the finale of What If Jaune Arc was betrayed and became Megatron. Link in the description of the fanfiction of this What If. Listen here YouTube. I do not own anything and this is not a scam. Chapter 20. Decepticon Off-Site Laboratory. In the Decepticon off-site laboratory that was revamped under Shockwave's specifications, which includes an entirely different area that houses multiple cylindrical tanks that are filled with a yellow liquid, inside of it are the Predacons, and it seems they have yet to awaken and be released out to the world. We also see the cylindrical tanks are connected to tubes that lead to a circular structure in the middle ceiling, and up on front, we can see Shockwave working on the console. He turns around when he hears the sound of the doors opening. There, he was met with Megatron and Barricade. Megatron. Shockwave, report. Shockwave. Lord Megatron, Project Predacon is going on schedule. I estimate it will take a couple of solar cycles before Project Predacon is at full completion. The Predacons will be fully evolved and combat ready in due time. Megatron. Excellent work, Shockwave. I take it the other Predacon we've encountered in the lab is at full completion. Shockwave. Affirmative, I'm finishing the final protocols and procedures to ensure it is ready for combat. I calculate it will be ready in a matter of hours. Do you intend to use the Predacon, Lord Megatron? Megatron. Indeed, I do. And I use it make an example out of the Arc clan once and for all. Shockwave. Are we intending to attack them fully? Wipe them out? Or are you sending them another message? Megatron. Complete and total annihilation. The Arc clan is no longer a threat to us and it's time we dispose of them before they will be a problem in the future. Barricade. Do you plan on disposing those you formerly called your sister and grandparents? Megatron. We shall see, Barricade. We shall see. Shockwave. Shall I contact all our forces for a briefing? Megatron. Affirmative, Shockwave. And get the beast ready, I wish to display its power in front of my Decepticons. The one-eyed Decepticon nods as he heads back to the console and began typing on it. While Megatron turns his attention towards Barricade. Megatron. Barricade, since the treacherous Starscream is joining us on this attack. I'm certain he and his Seekers have been behaving under our watch. Barricade. They have, although, I heard Flatline is giving Screamer a new paint job, after the extensive injuries you inflicted upon him, my lord. Back in the Nemesis. In Flatline's lab located in the Nemesis, Starscream can be seen in the operating table. What he is doing right now is not only getting a paint job, but getting a new set of arms, since Megatron ripped both of his off. Also, he got this new paint job to cover the amount of scars Megatron inflicted upon him, and he doesn't want to see it, to be reminded of his biggest failure, or one of. The new paint job he acquired is a new color scheme of white with red and blue markings. His head also has white painted on it, but with an added black to it. Starscream. Would you hurry up and reconnect my arm back, Flatline? Flatline. Take it easy, Starscream. This takes time, and you can't rush art. He ignores Starscream's rambles and continued attaching his left arm back, adding in the rotary machine gun, which wasn't present in that arm before. Starscream. Yes, I understand completely, you're a brilliant physician. Now shut up and finish the job. The Decepticon scientist can only shake his head in annoyance as he got back to work. Time skip. In the outside of the Nemesis where a large open platform is, all of the Decepticons, including that of the Insecticons, KSI sentries, Lockdown's mercenaries, the Shadow Raiders, and the Cybertronian dogs, Steeljaws, as well as Scourge's Terracons, have all gathered here as they can see Megatron up by the middle, joined by his three lieutenants, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. He steps forward and addresses his fellow Cybertronians. Megatron. My fellow Decepticons. The time has finally come where we destroy the Arc clan once and for all. There were murmurs heard amongst the Decepticons as many are now paying attention to what Megatron is saying. Megatron. As you all know, I have spoken to you, to all of you about my past, and we know others didn't take it too lightly. As he focuses his attention on Starscream, who is on his right, and then to his Seekers, who were on the audience. Megatron. It's time I take my revenge, eliminate the Arc clan and everything they stood for. They will finally pay for what they did to me. And I will make sure to leave none alive. He looks over to Soundwave as the communications officer presses a button on the console as a hologram of the last main ARC clan compound appears. Soundwave, we have intel provided by both Laserbeak and Ravage. We even confirmed the information with our human guests. Everything you see in this hologram is accurate. Due to all of their compounds being destroyed by our forces, the ARC clan has fallen back to this stronghold. The hologram now changes as it shows key points that are labeled red. Soundwave, Laserbeak and Ravage have reported that the ARC clan has set up defenses all around the compound, along with a batch of laser tanks they were able to save from our last attack. But without the Chronos bot, the ARC clan has been classified as not a threat to the Decepticons. Again, the hologram changes to the building of the council chambers. Soundwave, the minute the attack has commenced, we know the elders will hide in their safe room as the rest of their forces defend against us. They believe they are safe in the safe room, but we have the means to break through. And once they are all eliminated, the battle is ours. Megatron, and we won't attack with the main force just yet. I have something special for the ARC clan, and Shockwave over here will show it to us. On cue, Shockwave nods and had Soundwave groundbridge him to the lab. Once he has arrived, Shockwave walks over to a large cylindrical tank in the middle. Inside of it, we can see a Cybertronian as it floats around in the yellow liquid. The one-eyed Decepticon stares at it before heading over to the console, activating it. On the screen we can see holograms of DNA being shown. A progress bar can be seen filing up to full completion. The machine housing the tank erupts in electricity as it engulfs the entire thing. The Cybertronian or creature inside of the tank awakens when the electricity stops. On the screen in the console, the vitals show it's stable as Shockwave turns around, watching and walking to the tank as the liquid decreases, the creature now fully awakening. The ground bridge opens up as all of the Decepticons see Shockwave walking out of it. Shockwave, may I present to you all, the Predacon. He turns towards the ground bridge and gestures for all of them to look at the portal. There, the Decepticons can see something big exiting out of the ground bridge. Shocked faces are seen as the Decepticons by the platform step back as the Predacon reveals itself to all. Even Starscream and Soundwave had to step back as the Predacon walks towards the middle where Megatron is. The Predacon looks around before letting out a screeching roar, followed by it standing upright and letting its wings fly out. As the Predacon roars, an evil smirk forms on Megatron's face, knowing what is to come. Megatron, let the hunt finally end. Mistral, last main ARC clan compound. In the council chambers located in the main ARC clan compound, or the last of it. The elders and Mason are seen having a meeting, and they do not look pleased whatsoever. Wilsark, damn it. He slams the table in anger, seeing the situation they are in. Elder 1, to think this is what the ARC clan has ended up to. Hiding from an enemy that we can surely defeat. The ARC elders are furious at what's happening to the glorious ARC clan. The clan ruled by them has now been turned into a mockery of its former self. There is nothing that's left of the ARC clan, with only the scraps remaining. This is due to the work of the Decepticons, ensuring there is nothing left of the ARC clan and its hold in Remnant, destroying everything they own and leaving them with nothing. And now, there is barely any that can sustain this glorious clan. One single attack and this is all over. Elder 2, this is the work of those damn traitors. We even heard from Jean that Jade Arc is working with them as well. She is nothing but a disgrace like that weakling. Elder 3, yes, we should have eliminated those 3 when we had the chance. Because of them, we are reduced to nothing. Our rule is fading away, and we will not accept that. Mason, calm yourselves. In due time, the ARC clan will rise from its weakest and we'll show these Decepticons that we are the most powerful clan in all of Remnant. Wilsark, indeed, many have opposed the ARC clan, and no matter how difficult the fight is, the ARC clan will always triumph. And once we get our hands on the disgrace and his Decepticons, we will use their technology and spread the ARC clan's will to the galaxy. Rule it with an iron fist. Hearing what Wilsark said, made all of the elders grin sinisterly. But those smiles turn into shock and concern when they hear the sound of an explosion, along with the council chambers shaking. Elder 1, what was that? Boom. Another explosion erupts. This time, it was much larger as they felt the ground shaking even more. They looked to the doors to see an ARC clan huntsman rushing in. ARC clan huntsman, Elders, we're under attack. Mason, they're here. How many did the Decepticons send to attack us? Arc Clan Huntsman. 1. When he said that, all of the elders laugh at the fact that Megatron sent only one Decepticon to attack the Arc Clan. Wilsark. 1. Pathetic, send in the rest of Kronos and deal with this. Decepticon they sent. Outside, it is night as the broken moon shines its light on the Arc Clan compound. The Predacon has arrived, it can be seen flying around in the skies. Before heading right for the main area of the compound, the Predacon stops in its advance and hovers in the air as its wings flap. The Predacon roars before something forms up on its chest. It appears that something is charging on its chest as it lights up, heading through its neck and up to its mouth. Boom! As the Predacon sends out a beam of fire towards the council chambers, a screech can be heard as the beam continues its path towards the chambers. The minute it hits the roof, it causes a huge explosion that blew everything up, causing the entire ceiling to collapse on itself, crushing all of the elders and the huntsman that was inside, leaving only Mason and Wilsark. The Predacon screeches as Mason looks at the beast flying around and causing havoc in the compound. Mason, let's head for the bunker and await for this battle to be over. We will let what's left of the Arc Clan to defend the compound. We need to ensure we will survive once the Decepticons leave this place. We will head over to Atlas and claim our rightful place as leaders of Remnant. The Decepticons by now should destroy the other kingdoms, and we shall take advantage of this and lead what's left of Remnant, rule it under our guidance and will. All those that will resist, shall die. Wilsark, indeed, we need to ensure our rule shall stay forever. Let's leave the rest to die, they have fulfilled their use to us. As Wilsark and Mason sprint for the safe room in the council chambers. In the compound, we can see what remains of the Arc Clan huntsmen stationed there, setting up their defenses as the Predacon can be seen screeching once again, flying towards the Arc Clan's defenses. The Predacon charges up its mouth before it releases another beam of flames. Boom! Over a dozen explosions can be seen erupting in the compound, blowing all of their defenses and burning the Arc Clan huntsmen into ash. Their screams can be heard as they are being burned alive. The Nicholas Arc family and what's left of Kronos can be seen rushing out of a building as they can see the Predacon firing more beams of flames at the compound, causing more explosions as the flames engulf the entire area. Its roar echoing out in the fiery night. Bells. Even if the Decepticons only send one, it's able to destroy almost half of the compound. We need to leave, now. Jean. No. They look over to Jean, who can be seen clenching her fists in anger. Alex. Jean, don't you see the situation? Even if they send one Decepticon to attack the compound, the rest will soon follow. We need to get out of here before they kill us. Jean. I know that, but I have a feeling the disgrace will be here, and it's time we use what the elders made for us, enact our revenge towards the disgrace and those traitors. Alex. Jean. Nicholas. Jean's right, the elders were able to make something that can defeat a Decepticon. If that happens, maybe we can use their technology and re-engineer it for our use. Juniper. And if Megatron is here, then that means they will also bring my parents and Jade. If they're going to be here, maybe we can capture them and get our answers on why they joined Megatron. Nicholas. Yes, and we have Sapphira, the strongest swordswoman of the Arc Clan. She can easily take down Jade and capture her, but we will have to distract Liam and LC when we have the chance. Before Bells was about to say something, another explosion erupts as the Predacon fires out a much longer beam of flames, the fire engulfing the forest surrounding the compound, ensuring nobody has a means to escape. Bells. And it seems that Decepticon is preventing us from escaping. Alex. Meaning we have to stay here and fight. Bells. Alright, Sapphira, if Jade, Liam, and LC are here, take the rest of Kronos and try to capture them. We'll also join in for support. As for you, Jean. Here is the keycard for the building where the prototype the elders had our people build, is being housed. Let's hope it's enough to at least defeat a Decepticon. They all nod with Jean smirking. Finally, she can get the chance in fighting the weakling, show him that she will always be the strongest Arc sibling, not him. As they all ran into their positions, everyone there stops in their advance as they felt the ground shaking. David. What was that? One of the members of Kronos, David Pepper, who is with Lynn, looks at the ground, seeing the ground shaking even more violently as cracks start forming all around. Seeing the situation, Bells' eyes widened as he ordered all of the arcs to get out of there at once. Bells! Everyone, move! Boom! The ground beneath them suddenly explodes, sending many of the arcs, and huntsmen near their vicinity, flying. David and Lynn were able to get up, but as the two look up, they see a hand on top of them as it went to slam on the ground. Splat! The two Chronos members didn't get a chance to scream nor move out of the way as they were crushed by the hand, who slams itself on the ground. Then another came out of the fiery hole as it slams itself on one of the buildings in the compound, destroying it. Many of the arcs and the huntsmen can be seen getting ready at what monstrosity comes out of from beneath the ground, cause they can tell, whatever Cybertronian is coming out of there, it's big. The Cybertronian in question uses its arms to lift themselves up as they reveal themselves to what's left of the Arc clan. Who they are seeing is Unicron's herald, or in other words, the servant of Unicron, Thunderwing. Also, since Thunderwing is the herald of the Chaos Bringer, Unicron, he is tasked in serving Megatron under the orders of his master. And Thunderwing will obey Unicron's command. Thunderwing, to the Arc clan. Your destruction is at hand. It is now time for your extinction. The Arcs and Huntsmen all fire their dust weapons at Thunderwing. The Cybertronian can only laugh as their bullets did nothing to him. Nicholas looks over to the buildings with a concerned look, wondering why Jean is taking so long to start up the prototype. Slam! He was sent flying along with the rest of his family as Thunderwing slams his entire hand on the ground, crushing any huntsmen that were under it, and sending the rest flying. Thunderwing then proceeds to slide his arm around the ground and push many of the huntsmen and their defenses, flying in the air, the minute he swings his arm. Thunderwing equips his weapons, which are located on his wrists. They are arm blasters. He aims them at the compound and proceeds to fire out beams of purple energy, causing a wave of energy to head out towards the structures, disintegrating everything in sight as the huntsmen scream and turn into ash. Thunderwing continues to fire out bursts of purple energy as he fires out multiple times and causing untold destruction in the compound. It was made worse when Thunderwing raises his arms and slams it on the ground, causing a burst of energy that sends out a shockwave, blowing everything up and sending everyone flying. Saphiria was able to hold her ground as she uses her sword to stab the dirt and stay in place. She removes the blade from the ground, seeing Thunderwing continuously firing his arm blasters and slamming on the ground, destroying the laser tanks the Arc clan sent to attack him. She looks around and sees there is an opening around the shoulders of Thunderwing. She can tell that it's probably a main point of the Cybertronian's body. You take that out, and you weaken him, or that's what Thunderwing wants you to do. She readies her sword and sprint towards the destroyed building, climbing up the debris as Saphiria makes her way to the rooftops, now running at full speeds towards Thunderwing as explosions continue to erupt from his arm blasters. The minute Saphiria was able to get a good distance from him, she sprints towards Thunderwing and jumps towards the air, getting into a striking stance, ready to attack Thunderwing's main reactors, but someone didn't let her get the chance. Swoosh! She was suddenly swooped up towards the air as Saphiria looks up and sees she is being held by the Predacon. Bells! Saphiria! The Predacon flies around while Saphiria is being held on by its claws. She tries to use her sword and stabs the Predacon's hands, but it did nothing to hinder its movements or made it flinch. The Predacon roars before throwing Saphiria towards the ground, as she crashes hard. She was able to get up despite her aura disappearing the minute she landed on the ground. Saphiria grabs the sword and came face to face with Thunderwing, who gives out a laugh as he smiles at her. Thunderwing, you claim yourself to be the strongest, having the power of regeneration. Then let's see if you can regenerate this. Thunderwing moves his head back. Everyone there watches as his mouth starts charging up with purple energy. Thunderwing then proceeds to shoot out a beam of fire towards Saphiria. The minute the beam of flames hit, it causes an explosion of flames that completely engulfs the entire area, setting everything ablaze. And as for Saphiria, Bells and the Arcs can see what's left of her is nothing but a charred skeleton, with her sword still standing, but parts of it have melted off. In anger, Bells smashes his fist on the ground, seeing his daughter is now dead, killed by the Decepticons. Bells! Damn it! Where the hell is Jean? Arc clan huntsman, we got Decepticons. He was interrupted when one huntsman points towards the sky. All of them look and see the Decepticon fleet has arrived. Alex! They're here, and Megatron is here as well. She knows he's here, cause Alex can see the Nemesis in the middle of the horde of Decepticon ships around it as the Decepticon armada led by Starscream and his Seekers can be seen leading the attack, with Lockdown's ship providing them support. It's time for the bounty hunter to show the Arc clan what happens when you cross him. Starscream and his Seeker armada unleash their blasters as explosions erupt everywhere. Decepticon fighter crafts can be seen doing multiple bombing runs around the compound, with Lockdown's ship firing missiles, causing even more death and destruction as many huntsmen were sent flying. The Insecticons can be seen flying by, firing their blaster cannons as many of them transform to wreak havoc on the ground, grabbing any huntsman they can find and ripping them to shreds. The Decepticon fighter crafts also make their approach, turning themselves into hover mode by rotating the fighter craft around. From there, they proceed to fire out their machine guns at the huntsmen, even unleashing their disintegrator cannons. The disintegrator cannons fire out 2 balls of energy onto the ground, creating a mini blue explosion which in turn creates a mini wave on the ground. Any huntsmen that were in its vicinity disintegrate into nothing but bones and ashes. It was made worse when Devastator has arrived, bursting through the flaming debris and using his vortex grinder, sucking up everything in its path. Many of the huntsmen can be heard screaming or grabbing onto something as they were pulled towards Devastator's mouth. And not only did they have to deal with Devastator, they also have to deal with the Driller, who bursts out from underneath the ground and wreaks havoc all around the compound, destroying everything in sight. Even that of Infernicus, who arrived in the compound through the ground bridge, fires his blaster cannons, blowing the entire compound up. The continuous amount of attacks forces the Arc clan to fall back towards the main center area of the compound, where they surround themselves in a circle and defend what's left of the compound, since the Arcs and the Huntsmen have no way out of here due to the Decepticons completely surrounding them from all sides. Aqua. They've broken through our lines. More Decepticons can be seen heading from all sides. Aqua is joined with the rest of the Arc sisters, minus that of Jean and Jade, as they use whatever it is they have at their disposal to defend themselves against the Decepticons, and are failing. Bells takes cover when he sees an army of Viacons, KSI sentries, and Decepticon super soldiers arriving in the compound. They proceed to open fire at them as they all take cover from the amount of gunfire being thrown at them. Juniper. Where are the elders? We need reinforcements. Alex. And there's too many of them. They just keep coming. A swarm of missiles from a Combaticon warrior hits the Arc clan's defenses, causing a huge explosion and sending multiple huntsmen flying. Nicholas. Everyone, stand fast. We must hold the line. Boom. He was sent flying when an explosion coming from a missile hits Nicholas' position and sends the man flying towards the ground. Juniper quickly helps him up as they took cover, seeing up by the rooftops, multiple Decepticon drone units and Seekers unleashing blaster rounds with their armed cannons or blaster cannons. Decepticon Seeker. Finish them. Leave no survivors. Up in the skies, there, we can see the bridge of the Nemesis. Megatron is standing by the middle console located on the front. The Decepticon leader can see the entire Arc clan compound in flames. Multiple explosions erupt everywhere as Megatron can even see dark energon circles forming around the land, due to the numerous dark energon bombers unleashing chaos. A mixture of orange and purple flames engulf the lands. A smirk forms in his face as Megatron addresses his Decepticons. Megatron, it's time we finish this fight once and for all. All Decepticons, push forward and show no mercy. Show them our strength. Back with the Arc clan, numerous dead bodies of the Huntsmen can be seen on the ground as many continue to be taken out. Bells had his family stay behind him as they continue to take cover from the numerous amount of explosions erupting around them. Arc clan Huntsman, get down. We got more incoming. He looks forward when he sees what the Huntsman is referring to, and Bells' eyes widen, seeing it. Soundwave. Decepticons. There, he sees Soundwave in the air before he lands on the ground. The Decepticon speaking as we can see Starscream running towards his area and stopping, then was followed by Shockwave as he stops, aiming his hand cannon at the Arc clan. Soundwave. Attack. As Soundwave says that, the night sky was met with hordes of Decepticon fighter crafts, dropships, and Seekers, flying straight for the Arc clan's positions. We can even see Decepticon ships slowly moving towards the compound, firing their weapons as the Arc clan can see all of the Decepticons that they have encountered or seen, by the 3 lieutenants' sides. Bells. Quick, everyone. Fall back to the council chambers now. Many of the huntsmen followed his command as they quickly retreated out of there. Shockwave can be seen firing a shot using his hand cannon, then looks towards Starscream, who is with Skywarp and Thrust. Shockwave, destroy the council chambers. It's time they come out of their cowardly hideouts. Show no mercy. He aims his hand cannon at the council chambers, which is the only one that still stands as Starscream obeys Shockwave's command. He, Skywarp, and Thrust start walking before jumping to the air and transforming into their vehicle mode. Their jets boosts towards the council chambers as the Decepticons on the ground continue to unleash mayhem on the Arc clan. Meanwhile, Soundwave and Shockwave along with Barricade, Bonecrusher, Brawl, and Create a Bot, look up to see Megatron in his advanced Cybertronian jet, transforming and landing on the ground. They can also see a ground bridge opening up as Lockdown and Scourge exit out of it. But before any words were to be said, a building that was destroyed bursts into pieces as Jean appears, now controlling a mech that was built using the remnants of the Chronos bots and what's left of their orichalcum. She equips the laser cannons on the arms of the mech and proceeds to fire at Megatron, who dodges the attack by rolling to the ground, cocking his fusion cannon as he fires it at Jean numerous times. He continues to hit the mech where Jean is in, targeting its chest before it was met with numerous explosions, destroying the mech and Jean completely. Megatron, nuisance. He now focuses his attention towards the council chambers, a smirk forming on his face once again. Megatron, it's time we have a proper reunion, my dear family. In the entrance of the council chambers, we can see the last of the Arc clan barging inside the chambers, finding it all to be destroyed, knowing this was done by the Predacon. Bells runs forward and sees the debris. He looks closely, noticing the dead bodies of the elders, but sees Wilsark and Mason are not present in the rubble. The man already has a feeling he knows where they are. Bells, I have a feeling they're in the safe room. He looks behind to see Juniper rushing up to him, a look of worry is shown in her face. Juniper, Bells, what do we do? The chambers are all destroyed and there is nowhere for us to take shelter. Bells, our best chance is to head for the safe room and inform Mason and Wilsark of the situation. Hopefully there is enough room for us to take shelter there. I believe the safe room is enough to withstand an attack against the Decepticons, so that is our only chance of survival. But he has a feeling Mason and Wilsark won't even bother letting them in the confines of the safe room, and will leave them to die. Suddenly, his thoughts were interrupted when Nicholas says something. Nicholas, wait, do you hear that? Everyone stops what they are doing and tries to hear what Nicholas heard. What they hear are the sounds of engines as their eyes widened. Outside and up in the skies, we can see Starscream, Skywarp, and Thrust in their jet forms. The three Decepticons fly up towards the night sky as Starscream was the first to transform, followed by Thrust, then Skywarp. The three hover in the air as they equips their missile launchers on both arms, firing off a swarm of missiles at the council chambers. Bells, incoming. The missiles fly around in a circle as they make their way towards the council chambers. The minute the missiles hit their target, it caused a large explosion or multiple ones at that, completely destroying the council chambers as everything collapses in on itself. The flames of the council chambers ravaged as Megatron and his Decepticons have arrived. They all see the state of the chambers to be completely destroyed. Nothing is left standing as Megatron gestures Barricade to clean up the wreckage. The police Decepticon nods as he has the Viacons get to work. While that was happening, Megatron along with Lockdown walked towards the safe room, which was the only thing that still stands. Lockdown, it seems the Arc clan finally made something that can withstand our technology. But we all know it won't last. Megatron, indeed, it's time for that senile old man to come out of his hiding spot. Lockdown steps back, watching Megatron walk forward, facing the safe room. He moves his arms back as they start being engulfed in purple electricity. Megatron aims his arms forward, a circular outline appearing before Megatron shoots out a beam of dark energon at the safe room. The minute that happens, the entire area exploded in bursts of dark energon, crystals appearing and glowing all around, even exploding upon impact. Everyone there looks closely as the safe room is completely destroyed. It did nothing to protect itself against dark energon. Megatron and Lockdown walked closely to the safe room as they see someone bursting out of the debris. It was none other than Mason, who is bleeding everywhere and injured. The man looks to his right and sees Will's Arc, dead on the ground with dark energon crystals stabbing right through his body. He can hear the sounds of laughing as Megatron walks in front of him, the Decepticon looking down on the Arc. Megatron, so this is what's left of the Arc clan. Pathetic, and here we thought you claimed yourselves to be the strongest in all of Remnant. Lockdown. And what was it about defying your so-called will? 'Cause from where I'm looking, you lost, human. Hearing Lockdown and Megatron mocking him, Mason clenches his fists and grits his teeth in anger. He'll make these robots pay, one way or another. They dare defy the great Mason Ordraso Arc, one and true ruler of the Arc clan. Lockdown. And let me remind you, Mason. You were the one who made the mistake of crossing me, and now, you paid the price. Mason. Enough. I will not allow such mockery any longer. You made the mistake of ever crossing with us, disgrace. And it's time I show you, all of you, on what happens when you attack the Arc clan. The Decepticons watch as Mason smirks, now using his semblance, Tao control, allowing him to use aura techniques that do not damage his aura. They can see the man removing his robes, now revealing his armor as he stands a few feet tall, but not enough to be at height of the Decepticons. Mason, fear me, Megatron. For this is my strongest form. And it is time I show you why I lead the Arc clan. I will not show you an ounce of mercy for destroying the clan I have built, and now it's time you die here. His arms start being coated with aura and glowing brightly, as Mason proceeds to form aura blades, dashing towards Megatron with the intent of destroying him once and for all. Megatron. Funny, I should be saying that to you. Seeing Mason sprinting towards him, Megatron equips the Dark Star Saber and sprints at Mason. Megatron proceeds to deliver a slash with the saber, the blade coated in dark energon as it sends out a slash wave towards Mason. The slash wave heads right for Mason as he gets into a stance, using his aura blades to block the attack. Mason can be seen smirking as the slash wave hits him, but what he didn't expect was his aura blades doing absolutely nothing as the dark energon went right through it. The slash wave hits Mason and boom! An explosion of dark energon erupts, sending Mason flying and crashing on the ground. What happened to him is because of Mason using his semblance, his body cracking like glass. Shards can be seen scattered around the ground as Mason lost both of his arms and his right leg. He can be seen weakly standing up as the sounds of footsteps can be heard approaching. Mason. How can a weakling like you be this strong? It should be impossible. He looks in front of him to see Megatron and his Decepticons surrounding him. But what made him angry the most, was the Decepticons not seeing him as a threat whatsoever, and that to him, is an insult. Megatron. Fool. This is price you paid for underestimating me. And now there is nothing left of you. But don't worry, I will make sure you don't die just yet, but will make you suffer for what you did to me and my true family, Saffron. He gestures over to his left to see Frenzy holding what appears to be a shard of dark energon. Megatron. Let us see what happens if we inject dark energon on a human's body, and you will be our first test subject. Mason tries to use whatever strength he has and crawls his way out of there. But Frenzy rushes over to him and stabs the shard in his leg. Purple cracks start forming around the stab area. Mason screams in pain as the dark energon started corrupting his body, the purple cracks engulfing his entire body as it turns it into crystals before breaking itself apart. Megatron watches with a smirk as Mason screams his last, his entire body forming into crystals, before cracks continue to break and light up, the Arc's body exploding into pieces until he is nothing more than rocks. Megatron. Good riddance. Time skip. The Decepticon fleet can be seen leaving the Arc clan compound as Megatron and his Decepticons can be seen heading back to the Nemesis, with Lockdown heading back to his own ship. Up by a Decepticon dropship, we can see both Shatter and Dropkicker with the humans, Liam, Alcee, and Jade. Megatron sees this and has his Decepticons reveal what they have in their hands. It is none other than the Arcs, specifically the Nicholas Arc family, and Bells, all trapped in tube containers. Brawl. A shame that Jean Insect is dead. We would have loved to make her suffer. Blackout. Indeed. If she survived the wreckage, that insect would wish she perished when our leader annihilated her to dust. They all refer to the wreckage of the mech where the only thing left of Jean are charred bones. The three Arcs can see Barricade, Bonecrusher, Brawl, Blackout, Create a Bot, Sideways, Stinger, and Nitro Zeus dropping the containers in front of them. Jade notices they are all alive and awake, but have burns and bruises present around their bodies as Nicholas sees them and slams his fists in the container. Nicholas, you, how dare you show yourself after what the Decepticons did? Siding with these murderers. You are out of your mind. Jade, I'm not the one that is out of my mind, father. I made the right decision of siding with the Decepticons. Bells, you know they will dispose of you when your use is finished. Liam, oh, we know. But at least we know we got a stain erased from this world. It matters not if we die once our use has been finished, but ask yourselves this. Would Mason and Will's arc done the same to you once your use has been fulfilled? I can see it in your face, Bells. You know Mason and Will's arc stayed in that safe room to allow themselves to live so their rule can stay, while the rest of you die. They all look at Bells, thinking he will deny what Liam said, but his face says it all. He knows of the truth, he just couldn't accept it at the time. Juniper, Bells, you can't be serious. Bells, I am. I always had a feeling the elders only see us as pawns, and because of us following them. We paid the price. Megatron, indeed, and that price is the extinction of the Arc clan. Everything the Arc clan has built, your ancestors, all of their work ruined because of Mason, his elders, and his followers. But don't worry, I still have some uses for you. The Arcs wonder what Megatron has planned for them, while the three that sided with them already know what it is. Megatron, at Flatline's dissection table. He gestured over to the side as the Arcs look over to see Flatline, and he has a smirk on his face. Flatline, the Arc clan will be tickled. Seeing what will happen to them, the Arcs began panicking and banging on the containers, with both Bells and Juniper screaming out to Liam and LC, who had no look of pity or empathy for their own family. Bells, wait, don't do this. It's not our fault. It's the elders. They were the ones controlling us. Juniper, please, John. Please spare us. We're your family. Don't do this. We're sorry for everything we have done to you. Please. Slam. LC can be seen slamming her fist at the container, angered by what the Arcs are saying. LC, sorry. You don't get to be sorry. Sorry does not bring back Saffron and her family back. Sorry does not change the fact you allowed John to be killed and to desecrate his body like all your bonds with him meant nothing. None of you deserve to bear the name, Arc. And none of you deserve to be called heroes. You are not heroes to our ancestors. You are monsters. All of you. Jade. And it's time you die like the monsters you are, and as your sister, I have no pity for any of you when you'll die. You deserve what's coming to you. Bells and some of the Arc sisters have looks of regret, while Juniper is denying to herself that she isn't a monster, and this is all a mistake, while Nicholas is furiously banging the container in anger. Nicholas, you will pay for this. You hear me? I should have killed you, the disgrace, and Saptron when you were all born. None of you deserve to live on this remnant. Megatron, and the same can be said for you. We'll make sure you suffer the same fate we gave to Baldor and Emilio. But for you, Nicholas, Alex, we'll make sure you suffer more, and I will enjoy every second of it. Flatline, don't worry, my lord. I would leave no fiber or fiber optic unexamined. The Decepticon scientist goes over and taps the container with his finger. Flatline then orders the Viacons to grab the containers and bring them to the Decepticon dropship, with Flatline following them, as all the Decepticons can hear the screams and cries of help from Arcs as we'll never know what their fates will be once they reach the Nemesis. Megatron. Now all that's left is to deal with. Soundwave. Lord Megatron, we've detected an unknown energon signature headed this way. Soundwave points over to the unknown energy signature as all of the Decepticons can see a Tyrannosaurus Rex roaring and charging straight for them. The Decepticons all aim their weapons at it, but Megatron told them to stand down. They all watch in surprise as the Tyrannosaurus Rex stops in its tracks and transforms into a Cybertron, shocking some of the Decepticons there. Megatron. And who in the pits of count are you supposed to be? Beast Megatron. Me. I am Megatron, leader of the Predacons, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you, my ancestor. Megatron. What? Chapter 21. Nemesis. Bridge. In the bridge of the Nemesis, Megatron is with his three lieutenants, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave, as Megatron had Soundwave show off a hologram of the Kingdom of Atlas, with a small part of it highlighted, which is Atlas Academy, specifically that of the Vault. Starscream, from what I'm seeing here, my liege. Our final step in conquering this planet is to eliminate that wretched kingdom, Atlas, once for all. Megatron, indeed, Starscream, and not only that, we will deliver the last relic to Salem, and cut off a loose end. Starscream, and what do you intend to use to eliminate that witch? Megatron, with this. He steps back as his chest starts forming up and opening. There, the 3 Decepticons and all those in the bridge, were met with a bright purple light as Megatron displays the power of the dark spark. Shockwave. And once the witch has been eliminated, we shall activate the Omega Lock and Cyberform Remnant into Cybertron, forming it into an image of our once great planet. The hologram disappears as Soundwave turns his attention to Megatron. Soundwave. Lord Megatron, shall I assemble the Decepticon fleet to attack the kingdom of Atlas and retrieve the relic? Megatron. That won't be necessary, Soundwave. I will task a small squad to head with me to the vault. As for you, Shockwave, I want you and Flatline to retrieve the devices in the lab. We will need them for the relic, and to lower Atlas back to the ground. It is time we bring them down their pedestals, show them that we are the rulers of Remnant. Shockwave. It will be done. The 3 lieutenants take their leave from the bridge as Megatron walks over to the main console up by the front. The Nemesis can now be seen making its way to Atlas. Atlas Academy. Vault. In the vault located underneath Atlas Academy, we can see a ground bridge opening up in the middle of the platform. There, Megatron, alongside Starscream, Soundwave, Shockwave, Barricade, Bonecrusher, Brawl, Blackout, Create a Bot, Sideways, Grinder, Stinger, and Nitro Zeus, all step out towards the platform. In front of them, they can see the rock structure that houses the entrance to the vault, the place where the relic is housed. Megatron. The last vault and then Salem can have her relics. Along with that, another loose end will be cut soon. He looks over and sees Shockwave commanding the Viacons to place what appears to be some sort of turret around the structure. They made sure its cannon is aimed directly above it. Megatron. Are the corruptors in place? Starscream. Yes, Lord Megatron. Megatron. Then let it begin. A charging sound can be heard as the turrets, which are now known as corruptors, begin firing out an energized beam of dark energon towards the structure. The minute the beams hit the structure, the entirety of the vault began shaking, which was also felt all throughout Atlas. Many of the elitists and the Atlas Council feel the earthquake and proceed to ignore it. Seeing no Decepticon in sight, their arrogance and delusions are in full display. But unknown to them, the Decepticons are already in Atlas, and they don't know it. Back in the vault, the entire place can be seen shaking, numerous rock structures falling apart and crashing in the platform. Megatron sees the beams continuing their work as dark energon crystals start forming around the structure, before a huge explosion erupts, forming more dark energon around it. They can see the vault has been broken into, and the land where the relic is being kept, is seen, which means the Decepticons have access to it. Megatron. Soundwave, retrieve the relic out of the vault immediately. Soundwave. As you command, Megatron. Soundwave boosts himself towards the hole in the structure, heading inside to retrieve the relic as Megatron turns his attention to Shockwave. Megatron. With the relic now ours. Have Trypticon station orbit Atlas now. It's time to make our appearance in the kingdom. Shockwave. Understood, Lord Megatron. As Shockwave can be seen pressing a few buttons on his wrist, which formed up into Gauntlet. Megatron turns around and is met with Soundwave showcasing the relic, which is the relic of creation. The minute the relic of creation is removed from the vault, the Decepticons can feel the entirety of Atlas shaking. Megatron. It is time we take our leave. With the relic now in our hands, the kingdom of Atlas will now fall into the depths of Mantle. But I wish for its destruction to occur right in front of their eyes. Have Trypticon begin his attack and have our new recruit, the beast Megatron, retrieve something for me. The Decepticons with him nod as the ground bridge opens up, and all of them enter it, the vault now starting to break itself apart. With the relic gone, nothing will keep the kingdom of Atlas in the air as it will plummet towards the ground. Mantle. Refuge camp. Because of the Decepticon attack led by both Lockdown and Stinger, almost, if not, all of Mantle has been destroyed, with the city being nothing but a wasteland, its buildings and streets reduced to nothing but rubble. What remains of its citizens have gathered in a large refuge camp built by what's left of the Atlas military that ended up here. There, we can see Ironwood and Ozpin coordinating with Goodwitch, Kiro, Winter and what's left of the Ace Ops, which are Elm and Marrow. The Happy Huntresses are not present due to them being killed during the attack of the KSI sentries. But you must be wondering, why are Ironwood and Ozpin here, and not in Atlas? Well, the answer is simple: the Atlas Council. The Atlas Council heard about Ironwood gathering what's left of the Atlas army in the kingdom, to save their forces trapped in Mantle. That didn't sit well with the Atlas Council. The fact he disobeyed their order is something they won't accept, and with it, they immediately ordered the termination of Ironwood as general of the Atlas military, as well as dubbing all those that sided with the general, enemies of the kingdom. And now, Atlas doesn't have the means to defend themselves anymore, but those of the Atlas Council and that of the elitists, believe they are safe if the kingdom raises themselves high up in the sky, not realizing the fact the Decepticons have the ability to travel to space, because the Atlesians believe they are incapable of traveling through the stars like them. Well, they are going to be proven wrong. Back in the refuge camp, we can see Team RWBRN or Team WBRN, since RWBY got kicked out of the team due to her stupidity and negligence, or in their own area, which is a tent filled with what's left of the supplies they found in the city or were given by Ironwood, the team, waiting for anything good to happen since their job is patrolling the camp and informing any of the higher-ups if an attack is happening. So far, there hasn't been any after the Decepticons attacked Mantle, and that scares them. As for RWBY, she can be seen in her own corner, sitting on a crate and looking all depressed. She is not only upset by the fact she was kicked out of the team, but by the fact they are losing. She hates it all. She doesn't understand why they are losing. They are the good guys, they're always supposed to win like the stories her mother told her. Her mother always told her that's how it's supposed to go, or in reality, that's what her father, Kiro, and Yang always told her. Good guys like her always win, and the bad guys lose. But now, there is no hope left in her, no more drive to be a hero her mother wanted her to be, as RWBY has no more faith they can win anymore. 'Cause no matter how much they try, no matter how much they do to stop them, it was all for nothing. Megatron be smirking right now, seeing the wannabe hero being reduced into nothing. By the command tent, Ozpin, Ironwood, Goodwitch, Kiro, and Winter rushed out of it, running to Marrow, who seems to be in a panic. Ironwood: Marrow, what's going on? Marrow: many of our outposts are reporting that Atlas is descending towards the ground. It's falling from the sky. Ironwood: what? They all rushed towards one of the towers that overlooks both Mantle and Atlas. Once they reach it, the group looks up to see Atlas slowly descending towards the city of Mantle. Ozpin clenches his fist in anger. This concludes that Megatron and his Decepticons are working for Salem. 'Cause in his mind, what reason can the Decepticons have to retrieve the relics? Nothing. It means clear as day that they are working with Salem. Kiro: Ozpin: I know. Seeing this, it already tells me that the Decepticons have been working with Salem from the start. Goodwitch: and now, they have the relic of creation. Ozpin nods, while Ironwood clenches his fist, seeing the Decepticons allowing Salem to win. The inner circle already had a feeling Salem got the other two relics. Veil was obvious, while for Mistral and Vacuo, the inner circle lost contact with both academies. So they theorized the Decepticons were able to get the relics and destroy the academy. But the question is, how were they able to acquire it? Unfortunately, they were interrupted when Winter points out something in the sky. Winter: wait, what's that? They look up to see Trypticon station has arrived. All of Mantle, and even that of Atlas, can see the station hovering beside the kingdom, but what happens next will shock them to the core. Kiro: I may be too drunk right now. But is it me, or is that base they have in the sky? Ironwood: transforming. It's transforming. He's right, everyone from both Atlas and Mantle watches Trypticon station starts to transform. Many of them see parts of the station moving, as Trypticon starts revealing its true form to the people of Remnant. But what terrified them was the look of the Decepticon. Some of the Faunus were able to see its head forming up, noting it looks more monstrous than ever, seeing teeth forming up by its mouth, and its yellow eye. Then the rest of the station continues to transform, the metal parts echoing out as its parts start forming into its legs, arms, followed by what appears to be a giant jetpack placing itself on its back, then its tail. And finally, we now see the chest finishing its transformation, the metal parts forming and combining in place, and in the middle, the Decepticon insignia appears, lighting up along with parts of its body. The Kingdom of Atlas, and the city of Mantle, are now face to face with the Decepticon Titan, Trypticon. The Decepticon's laugh echoes out, terrifying many of the citizens, seeing his size to be humongous. Trypticon. You insects think you can destroy me. You think you can destroy Trypticon. Pathetic. He says that with a booming voice for all of Atlas and Mantle to hear, the Decepticon hovering in the air using his large jetpack as Atlas continues to plummet towards the ground. Meanwhile, inside the Atlas Council chambers, the Atlas Council and many of the kingdom's elitists can be seen hiding in the chambers and readying their bullheads to depart the kingdom the minute it is a lost cause. Many of them see Trypticon hovering the skies, its shadow looming over the kingdom. The doors of the council chambers open as an Atlas officer, who is on the payroll of the council, rushes in. Atlas Councilman 1. Ah, Captain. I believe all our bullheads are ready to depart. If so, we shall head to Mantle and claim our rightful leadership in the city. We must use the people of Mantle to rebuild our kingdom at once. Now let us all leave before that thing destroys us. Atlas officer. I'm sorry, Councilman. But I'm afraid we can't do that. Atlas Council Member 1. What? Why? Boom. Outside the Atlas Council chambers, Trypticon has begun his attack, unleashing his back missiles located by his jetpack. A swarm of missiles headed right for the airfield by the council chambers, the missiles destroying every single bullhead and airbus, ensuring nobody in Atlas gets out of here alive. Trypticon continues to unleash more missiles and is now using the tail missiles, firing off swarms around Atlas, blowing up what's left of the Atlas fleet that stayed with the council and the elitists. He also uses his nose cannon, aiming for the buildings and firing off blasts of purple energized orbs, destroying everything, even that of Atlas Academy as the kingdom is up in purple flames. Trypticon slowly hovers towards the buildings of Atlas, giving himself a good position that overlooks the entire kingdom as he continues to unleash more missiles using his back missiles, and is now using the mouth plasma cannon, firing energized orbs at the city, explosions erupting everywhere, with the Decepticon laughing. Trypticon. You all cannot escape from me. Now die. More explosions continue to erupt as the Atlas elitists are becoming scared of the situation. It was even made worse when the Atlas officers said all of the bullheads, dropships, and the Airbus have been completely destroyed. While the Atlas elitists try to figure out a way out of there, the Atlas Council can be seen whispering to each other. Atlas Councilman 1. I believe our best option right now is to abandon these people. They have no use for us. Atlas Councilman 2. Indeed, they will fight for power the minute we reach Mantle. Leaving them here to die is an easy way for us to regain control once we arrive in the city. After all, they have no leader, and this is the perfect opportunity for us to stay in power. Atlas Councilman 3. And if any of them oppose us, we can pay off the Atlas military, have them be disposed of. Atlas Councilman 4. Yes, and we have a secret bullhead below the chambers at the ready. We just need to find the right time to escape. But they were interrupted when an Atlas elitist started shouting out of nowhere. Atlas elitist. Look, that monster is looking right at us. All of the Atlasians went to the windows, seeing Trypticon moving towards the Atlas Council chambers, the Decepticon Titan staring right at them. Trypticon. My face shall be the last thing your pathetic lives shall see. He gets into a stance, now aiming towards the council chambers. Trypticon now readies his mouth plasma cannon and his two shoulder missiles. The weapons all start glowing in a purple light as Trypticon unleashes his attack. A purple beam and missiles shoot out right for the council chambers. Many of the Atlas elitists scream in fear, with the Atlas Council booking it out of there, but it is too late. Boom. Back in Mantle, everyone there can only watch as the entirety of Atlas explodes into pieces, purple light erupting everywhere as the kingdom started falling apart. Ironwood sees the destruction of Atlas and can only clench his fists in anger as well as grit his teeth. His home, his kingdom, all but destroyed in one fell swoop. The same reaction can be seen on Weiss, Winter, Elm, and Marrow's faces. Their home is destroyed. Winter can be seen being angry, knowing her mother, brother, and Klein were in the Schnee mansion. If they were there, that means they were killed in the resulting attack. Everyone knows, whoever was in the kingdom, is dead. As for RWBY, she is dead inside. Seeing Atlas being destroyed and all those people dead, made her angry. They did nothing, absolutely nothing, as an entire kingdom got destroyed. She's supposed to be a hero, yet stood there and watched as the Decepticons destroy Atlas. But her thoughts were interrupted when people started running and screaming. She looks up, now seeing meteor-like debris flying towards the city of Mantle, causing the citizens to flee to the underground in a panic. RWBY does the same and regroups with her team as they fled to the subways. As for Ozpin and his inner circle, they scramble to get the people of Mantle to safety. Ironwood, Ozpin, coordinate with Specialist Schnee and get our people out of here. With Atlas destroyed, Mantle is the only city that stands. We need to ensure we survive, now go. But before Ozpin and the rest of his inner circle sprint out of there to evacuate the citizens as more debris crash onto the city. A voice can be heard calling out to them. Oh, you're not going anywhere, insects. They stopped in their tracks when Beast Megatron blocks their path, a smirk forming on his face as the rest of his Predacons surround them. They are as follows: we have Blackarachina, Waspinator, Terrorsaur, Scorponic, Inferno, Ramhorn, Spitter, and Rampage. Left, top to bottom, Waspinator, Ramhorn, Spitter. Middle, top to bottom, Blackarachina, Rampage. Right, top to bottom, Terrorsaur, Scorponic, Inferno. They all aim their weapons towards the inner circle, a few of the Predacons erupting in growls as the inner circle gets into a defensive stance, watching Beast Megatron walking towards them. Beast Megatron, there never was any noble spark in this planet. And now, in my gratitude, I will allow all of you to continue roaming on this planet, until Megatron has no use for you. Now then, come quietly, or else there will be trouble. For I am Megatron, leader of the Predacons, and I want you to remember that, humans. He gives off an evil smirk as Beast Megatron and the rest of the Predacons slowly march forward towards the inner circle, as their fate in the Nemesis awaits. Remnant Space, Omega Lock. In the reaches of Remnant Space, the Omega Lock has finally finished its completion. The Omega Lock is seen built on the lower parts of the Nemesis. Numerous Viacons, Seekers, Insecticons, KSI sentries, Decepticon supersoldiers, drones, can all be seen guarding it, along with the Decepticon fleet that is hovering beside the ship. We are now brought to Flatline's lab, where we are shown Team RWBRN, then Ozpin and his inner circle in tube containers attached to a table. Winter and the rest weren't valuable enough to be captured. The first among the prisoners to wake up is RWBY as she came face to face with Flatline looking at her with a smile. Flatline. Wakey, wakey. He began tapping on the tube containers as the rest of the remnant natives awoken. Flatline. It's nice to see the insects up and running. Not knowing what fate will be inflicted upon them in the coming cycles. Oh, I can't wait for you to see the show. Kiro. What the hell do you plan to do with us, Tin Can? He says that in anger as Kiro began banging on the tube container. Flatline's response to his anger is to laugh. Flatline. Good luck trying to escape, insect. The Predacons took the liberty of taking away your weapons, and even if there is a slight chance you did break through the containers. Well, I highly doubt you'll be able to get out of this ship in one piece. Ozpin. What do you plan to do with us? What does Megatron want with us? Flatline. Why don't you ask him yourself? And on cue, the doors to Flatline's lab opens as Megatron enters. Majority of the group can be seen glaring at the Decepticon leader, while Ozpin and Ren have looks of regrets, knowing they are the ones responsible for Remnant's extinction, and they know there is nothing they can do to stop it. Megatron. Well now, long time no see, traitors. Weiss. You. To think someone that was weak, a fraud, did all this. Just how? How? It shouldn't be possible. Megatron. Even when you were at death's door, you are still like your father, Weiss Schnee. RWBY. What are you going to do to us? Why won't you just kill us? The battle is over. Megatron. Well, now where did that heroic spirit you showed me go, crate face? Do you feel like you are a hero? Am I still a villain after what you did to me? As he says that, RWBY can only look down in shame, tears streaming down her eyes. Kiro sees this and angrily bangs the tube container. Kiro. Hey, scrap metal. Leave her alone or else the minute I'm out of this thing, I'll make sure to give you hell. Megatron. Oh really now? He aims his fusion cannon at Kiro, and then, boom! A small explosion erupts, literally destroying the tube container and annihilating Kiro into pieces. The only thing left are his bones, a few of his body parts and blood splattered around the table. RWBY. Uncle Kiro, no. Megatron. Enough of this nonsense. It's time you see what we have planned for your planet, and for you, Ozpin. A little reunion with someone you know. Ozpin's eyes widened as Megatron had Flatline and the Viacons, who came inside the lab, carry the tube containers, disconnecting them from the table as the group heads out. Time skip. The doors open as Megatron and everyone there were met Starscream and Soundwave, standing behind Shockwave as he is working on the console in the middle of a large circular panel and device. The remnant natives look around and see numerous cylindrical tanks filled with a blue liquid. Ozpin wonders what Megatron and the Decepticons are planning to do with this. There, Megatron sees the rest of his Decepticons have gathered around, even that of Scourge and Lockdown, as all of them wait for the moment of triumph. Shockwave, Lord Megatron, Salem and her inner circle are arriving now. On cue, Soundwave opens the ground bridge as Salem and her inner circle arrive. Megatron had Flatline and the Viacons lower the tube containers as he watches Salem walk over to Ozpin, a smirk appearing on her face. Salem, to think this is where you ended up, Ozma. Ozpin leans towards the tube container and whispers this to Salem. He knows what she wants, and he knows the Decepticon won't give it. Ozpin, Salem, I know you wish to rule Remnant. But the Decepticons want to destroy it. Allying with them will be the biggest mistake you ever made. They will dispose of you once your use has been finished. Salem, oh, please. If they won't listen to me, I will make sure they will. As she shows off her magic, before turning her attention towards Megatron. She glances at Shockwave, seeing him working on the console. She wonders what this place is. Salem, Megatron, what is this place? And why have your Decepticons gathered here? Don't tell me handing the relics is a special event for you. Or are you afraid of me that you need your army to protect you? She says so with a smirk, as Megatron's response is to laugh at her claims. Megatron, oh, I'm not afraid of you, witch. You should be afraid of me. Tyrion, you, how dare you speak to the goddess in such a... Boom. He was met with an explosion, his body parts sent flying all around the room. This was done by none other than Brawl, who used his missile launcher to take the scorpion faunus out. Megatron, thank you, Brawl, for silencing that annoying insect. Brawl nods as Megatron turns his attention to Shockwave, who has now opened the circular panel. They made sure to add a shield so the natives of Remnant can breathe in the ship as they see the Omega Lock in full view. Megatron, Shockwave, commence Omega Lock firing sequence. Shockwave nods, pressing one holographic button on the console, then this was followed by him, Starscream, Soundwave, and Megatron himself, placing the Omega keys on the device beside the console. From there, the Omega keys light up as the device does as well, the entire room activating and charging up. Everyone there looks as the cylindrical tanks start distributing the liquid, which is the cyber matter, towards the metal pillars, all of them lighting up, as a blue liquid starts filling up in the circular structure below them. Megatron, what we are planning, Salem, is to cyberform the planet, turning it into a Cybertron of the Decepticons' image. And once the Omega keys activate the machine, it will kill all indigenous life on the planet. Not like there was any to begin with. The plan that Megatron has spoke off, made Salem frown in anger. This wasn't part of the deal they discussed. Salem, that wasn't what we discussed, Megatron. You are not supposed to destroy Remnant. Megatron, I know, that is why I'm doing what the humans on Earth say, and cutting one loose end. Before Salem was about to unleash her magic, Soundwave activates a device that held them in place, sort of like a stasis. Salem tries to move or use her magic, and to her shock, nothing is happening whatsoever. Shockwave, I advise you do not struggle. You are in a form of stasis, and we reconfigured its uses, and if you even dare escape, the machine will administer a substantial amount of volts to subdue you, or worse, vaporize you. Watts, what the hell does that even mean? Shockwave, it means if you try to get out, you will be electrified to a crisp, buffoon. Megatron, before we begin our little show, I will give you what's promised, Salem, and those are that of the relics. He gestures over to the side, seeing Shatter with the Relic of Knowledge, Nitro Zeus with the Relic of Destruction, and create a bot with the Relic of Choice. Ozpin and his inner circle were getting very worried, wondering what the Decepticons planned to do with the relics, but what comes next shocked them to the core. Soundwave proceeds to open 3 ground bridges below the 3 Decepticons. As they drop the relics falling to the ground bridge, never to be seen again. Megatron. But in reality, we Decepticons have no use for them. So the best option we can give you, Salem, Ozpin, is to send the relics to the far reaches of the galaxy, where none of you will know its location. He then brings out the Relic of Creation. A ground bridge opens up below him as Megatron drops the relic. The minute it enters the ground bridge, it closes. Megatron. Good luck finding them. That action made Salem furious, but as she moved, electricity starts engulfing her entire body, her screams echoing out in the room. Ozpin can be seen looking at Salem, who tries to get out, but is getting electrified as she continues to scream in pain. Then turns his attention towards Megatron. Ozpin, even if you've captured both Salem and I's forces, as well as retrieve all the relics, what makes you think you can defeat Salem, where I have failed numerous times? Megatron. Oh, but there is a difference between you and I, Ozpin, and that is I have the means of eliminating this witch once and for all. Unfortunately, this witch is not my concern right now as I have other matters to attend to, and it's the cyberforming of your planet, and all of you shall witness its glory. He walks over to the device and addresses Shockwave. Megatron. Shockwave, prepare to fire the Omega Lock on my command. Good witch. No. RWBY. Leave our planet alone. She began banging on the tube container with tears streaming down her eyes, as many do the same, but were all met with deaf ears. As Shockwave begins initiating the sequence, they could only watch as the Omega Lock locks itself into Remnant. A beam of blue energy shoots out from the Nemesis and onto the planet. Everyone watches as a bright light forms as the planet has now been turned into that of Cybertron. Megatron had Soundwave show a display of what has happened to the surface, and to both the Decepticons as well as the Remnant natives shock. The entire planet is now completely made of metal, where cities are seen from miles on end. Cheers can be heard from all of the Decepticons not only in the Nemesis, but in the other ships as well. Finally, they have a home. Their planet is back. But for the Remnant natives, they could only look in horror at their planet. Their home has been turned into nothing but metal. Salem can be seen gritting her teeth in anger, seeing her grim all but extinct. She'll make them pay some way. Megatron. A new Cybertron has been bestowed upon us, and it's beautiful. Behold, insects. You all have witnessed the new age of the Decepticons. He says so with a smirk, now turning his attention towards the Remnant natives, specifically that of Salem, who can be seen glaring at him and clenching her fists. If she wasn't stuck in this contraption, Megatron will rue the day he crossed her. Megatron. And with that finished, it's time to eliminate a loose end. He looks at Salem with a smirk. Megatron didn't give Salem a chance to speak as he opens his chest and shows off the dark spark. A beam of dark energy fires from the dark spark and heads right for Salem. The minute it hits her, Salem screams in pain. Cracks start to form in her body and light up. As it glows brighter and brighter before Salem explodes completely, the only thing left of her were small debris of rocks. Salem is now dead. Megatron. And here we thought you being immortal can save you. Apparently not. The Decepticon leader laughs as Ozpin and his inner circle, even that of Salem's inner circle, looked at the scene with shocked faces, speechless by the fact that Megatron was able to kill Salem permanently. They all knew it was impossible to kill her, and yet, here is it right in front of their eyes. Megatron. Before we dispose of you, it's time I show you one last surprise. Why don't you come out here, my dear family? The doors of the room opened, and out steps Liam, Alcee, and Jade. Megatron. May I present to you all, Liam, Alcee, and Jade Arc, members of the former Arc clan. When they saw the last members of the Arc clan, the Remnant natives, mainly those of the heroes, had their eyes widened, not believing the Arcs would side with Megatron and the Decepticons. Ozpin. Liam, Alcee, how could you do this? How could you side with them after they destroyed our world? Alcee. Because it was the right choice to make. All of your actions, and the same for our family, led Remnant to its extinction. Liam. And all of you must pay the price. Weiss. But how could you do this? To your own family. You allowed them to be killed by these abominations. A few of the Decepticons can be seen growling at Weiss, comment. Jade. Because they deserved all the pain and suffering inflicted upon by the Decepticons. Their actions are irredeemable and forgiveness will never be brought upon them. They were never a family of heroes, but monsters, and I'm glad I left the clan when I had the chance. Goodwitch. You know the Decepticons will dispose of you when they had enough of your uses. Like what they did with Salem. Megatron. That is where you are wrong. Why don't you find out yourself on what we plan to do with them? He ordered the Decepticons to carry the containers and bring them closer to the edge, while for Salem's inner circle, Soundwave controls the device as they hover in the air towards the position where the heroes are. There, they watch as Liam, Alcee, and Jade walk towards the edge of the circular panel. This is followed by Shockwave placing a device on a console, the room lighting up once again as everyone sees the liquid turning into a light green. Once that happens, Liam, Alcee, and Jade jump off the edge and dive towards the cyber matter, splashing upon impact. Everyone watches for a few seconds, with nothing happening, but as they look closely, they can see movement by the cyber matter, and out bursts a hand, and not just any hand. This is none other than Liam Arc, who has now become a Cybertronian, taking the form of a Decepticon protoform. Alcee and Jade followed suit as they swam towards the platform, being helped up by the Decepticons. How this was possible was due to a device given to them by Unicron, allowing any life form to turn into Cybertronian, given they bathed themselves in cyber matter. The remnant natives had shocked looks on their faces, seeing the three arcs turn into Cybertronians, with Watts being utterly speechless, not believing what he witnessed right in front of his eyes. Watts, impossible, they were able to turn them into Cybertronians. Megatron, Soundwave, distribute a alt form for these three at once. Soundwave, understood, Lord Megatron. As Soundwave heads on out of there, Megatron now walks over to Salem's inner circles. Megatron, it's truly a shame, you would have been fine members to our Cybertronian race. But sadly, he then walks up to them, and aims his fusion cannon right at their faces. The barrel of the cannon glowing brightly. Megatron, you've all hit rock bottom. Bam! The minute Megatron fired his fusion cannon at his target, which was Watts, the rest of the Decepticons followed suit, firing their weapons until there is nothing left of Salem's inner circle. Megatron, because you worked with Cinder and gotten close with her. I will let you do the honors, Shatter, and say your final words to her. Shatter, with pleasure, Lord Megatron. She looks at Cinder, who is looking at the Decepticon with pure hatred. Seeing her display of anger, Shatter could only laugh. Shatter, Cinder Fall, I would you like the honor of saying it was a pleasure working with you. You were entertaining, to say the least. It was so satisfying seeing us betray you. You thought you had the upper hand, but we had it from the start. Cinder grits her teeth in anger and glares at Shatter. She hated that the Cybertronian made a fool out of her. But what she didn't notice was Shatter walking in front of her, now aiming her neutralizer gun. Cinder didn't get a chance to react before. Bam! Cinder explodes into nothing but body parts and goo as Megatron finally looks over to his former friends. All of them wondering what Megatron has planned. Said Decepticon forms an evil smirk on his face, knowing what their fates will be. Megatron, since there is nothing left of their planet and the fact, Salem is dead. Flatline, you may either dispose of them or use them for your experiments. But if you do, I want Weiss Schnee and Glinda Goodwitch to suffer the most, ensure you inflict the worst pain imaginable. Flatline, it will be done, Lord Megatron. He quickly ordered the Viacons to carry the tube containers out of there. The minute they are leaving the room, Megatron's former friends can only cry out for help and mercy. Nora, wait, fearless leader. Please, don't kill us. RWBY, yeah, we're sorry. Please forgive us. Don't do this. Their pleas were all ignored as the last of the remnant natives will meet the same fate as the Arc clan. Once they are gone and out of sight, Megatron turns to his Decepticons and addresses them. Megatron, with all the threats to our reign finally extinguished, it is time we rebuild our once great planet into our image. Henceforth, this planet shall be named New Count. Long live the Decepticons. Decepticons, long love the Decepticons. All hail Megatron. They all cheered as the Decepticons now make their way to Remnant, or what it is called now, New Count. Meanwhile, in an unknown location in the now cyberformed Remnant, the Cybertronian from before, sits on a makeshift throne as his optics opened, a smile now forming on his face. This Cybertronian is known as Megatronus Prime, or what he is more known as, the Fallen. The Fallen rises up from his makeshift throne, ripping apart the wires that make his throne as the Fallen stands upright and says this with glee. Fallen, at last, the time of my new reign has begun. Despite the entirety of Remnant and its threats all gone, once you eliminate a threat, a new one appears. Chapter 22. A few days later, in the now named planet of New Kaun, which was once known as the planet of Remnant. The Decepticons have begun rebuilding their planet, as many of the Decepticons set up their bases, armies, and fleet, as well as moving many of their supplies and energon around different parts of the planet. The same can be said for the Predacons, with Beast Megatron being given a base of operations, and Shockwave transferring the Predacon to an area where the rest of their Predacon clones can roam free, but also kept under close watch, for reasons we already know. Not only that, besides cyberforming the planet of Remnant, the Decepticons also cyberformed the Shattered Moon, turning it into a Cybertronian moon where the Decepticons have set up a moon base in said location, as well as where they will keep the fleet docked. Inside the main headquarters of the new Decepticon HQ located in the capital city of Kaun, the doors of the command center open as we see Megatron, Starscream, and Shockwave, who like with Starscream, also got a change of appearance when it comes to his colors, his body now sporting purple, with his chest, thighs, feet, and hands being that of light purple. His optic is no longer red, but that of yellow. They enter, and head on over to where Soundwave is, the Decepticon typing on a console. Megatron, Soundwave, report. Soundwave did not need to say a single word as he presses a button on the holographic keyboard, showcasing on the screen what appears to be an image of a triangular structure located in the far outskirts of New Kaun. The minute they saw what was on the screen, Megatron and Starscream knew what this structure or contraption is, with Starscream turning to Megatron in shock. Starscream, Lord Megatron, that's the Megatron. You are correct, Starscream. It's the Star Harvester, and it seems it found its way to Remnant without any of us knowing. It may be the work of Unicron, or another being. We may never know, but my question is he here as well? He looks over to Soundwave to answer his question, as the Decepticon presses another button on the console, now showcasing live footage of the Star Harvester. They can see an army of Cybertronians guarding the structure, and there in the middle, Megatron can see none other than the Fallen, commanding his troops and standing on top of the Star Harvester. Megatron. I see, so it seems you're here as well, my master. Question is, are you planning on overthrowing me and my Decepticons, or do you plan to ally with us? He now turns his attention to Soundwave. Megatron. Soundwave, what have you to report of the Fallen's numbers? Soundwave. I sent scouts to investigate the area and found the Fallen's army to be that of the hundreds, with many more underway. This is the source of where the protoforms are coming from. He presses a button on the console as the video footage shows a large group of protoforms coming out of some kind of underground tunnel or cave system hidden beneath the lands of New Kaun. Soundwave. The drones were able to pinpoint numerous locations of these caves. My theory suggests they are similar to the Insecticon horde Starscream has found, and they are all sealed in stasis pods, with many others in hatchling eggs. As he shows off in the screen, the entrance of the underground tunnel, the Decepticons can see the drone heading inside. There, they notice what appears to be a passageway that leads to a room where the protoforms are being reproduced, and they are correct. Like what Starscream found, the room is filled to the brim with stasis pods and some in the form of hatchling eggs, which have grown exponentially. And from what Soundwave suggested, if they were able to get their hands on this, then the Decepticons will have an infinite army in their disposal. But the problem is, this army is not on their side just yet. Starscream. Which means no matter how much we destroy them, the Fallen's armies will continue growing. Shockwave. And may overthrow us if we are not careful. Lord Megatron, I advise we deal with this matter at once, before it gets worse. Megatron. You are correct, Shockwave. We must make haste to the Star Harvester and confront the Fallen at once. We shall truly see if he's on our side, and if not, we shall dispose of him by any means necessary. Starscream. Shall I prepare the fleet, Lord Megatron? Megatron. Yes, but first, there is something I must do. Time skip. The ground bridge opens up to what appears to be an empty area of New Count, where it's just lands of metal, with not a single building in sight. In short, it's the middle of nowhere. Megatron walks towards the slope alongside his 3 lieutenants. There, the Decepticons were met with a graveyard of corpses. All of those corpses are that of Predacons. Shockwave. Lord Megatron, from what we can see here, this must be a graveyard of Predacons who have perished eons ago. I calculate it's the same manner in which we were summoned, but the question is, why? Megatron. Allow me to answer your questions, Shockwave. And I advise all of you to step back. He nods, as Shockwave along with Starscream and Soundwave step back. They watch as Megatron channels the power of Energon, his optics glowing purple with a mist erupting out of it. The outlines around Megatron's body also start glowing purple as he raises his arms up and purple lightning shoots out it before he slams his fists on the metal floor. A wave of purple energy flies out and engulfs the entirety of the land. Megatron. My legion. Arise and join me in this battle. Arise. Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave stepped back even further as Megatron continues to unleash purple lightning towards the sky. Purple light forming around the ground as cracks start appearing everywhere, then something comes out of it as they see the metal floor bursting out, a purple mist coming out of it as they are revealed to be none other than Predacons, those who have perished eons ago, given the state of their bodies. More and more resurrected Predacons started bursting out of the ground, their screeches and roars echoing out in the land, as more of the purple mist continues to engulf the entire area. Their bodies looking battered and destroyed in appearance, as they glow with a purple light, infused with the power of dark energon. Starscream. Terracons, created from Predacons. He says that as Starscream steps back in fear as Shockwave couldn't believe what he is seeing. Shockwave. It defies all science. Then the 3 Decepticons can hear Megatron's laugh echoing out in the land as his body continues to glow a bright purple, using the power of dark energon to command the Terracons as they walk past the 3 Decepticons. Megatron. We have our army. Soundwave. Ground bridge the Terracons to the Star Harvester's location, and Starscream. Prepare the fleet. We leave at once. They all nod as the land reveals to have more purple mist going on for miles. But when you look closely, you can see more Predacons, or how they call it, Terracons, rising up from the metal floor as their numbers continue to grow and grow. New Count. Star Harvester. By the lands of the Star Harvester, an entire Decepticon fleet has arrived, both land and air. We can see legions of Decepticon soldiers walking in formation. They are also joined by Decepticon tanks and turrets they have built for this battle. While in the skies, we can see Decepticon fighter crafts, dropships, and that of the Nemesis. And in the Nemesis, we can see Megatron in the bridge, sitting on his throne in the middle as he can see on the screen, and the image that appeared in front of him, the Star Harvester. But the Fallen is nowhere in sight. Soundwave. Lord Megatron, all of our forces are in position and awaiting your command. What are your orders? Megatron. No one is to attack unless I give the order, Soundwave. I shall take the rest of my forces and confront the Fallen myself. Soundwave. Lord Megatron, with all due respect, I ill-advise this order. We know what the Fallen is capable of. It is best if don't risk the loss of our forces, and waste the Terracons if our plan fails. Megatron. Worry not, Soundwave. I trust you and your Decepticons can win this battle. You have put your trust in me for eons, and now it's time I do the same for you. He walks over to Soundwave and places a hand on his shoulder. Despite Megatron now being in control, there is still small bits of what Jaune Arc was in his personality, and this is one of them. His loyalty to his friends, or in this case, his followers. Soundwave. Understood, Lord Megatron. Timeskip. We are now shown the Star Harvester. There, Megatron and his Decepticon forces have arrived. With a few tanks aimed at the Star Harvester along with squads of fighter crafts, they are ready to fire the minute Megatron gives the word. And in the Star Harvester, on a structure located at the very top of, they see the Fallen revealing himself, and looking down upon the Decepticons. The Fallen scans the area, looking at the legions of Decepticons surrounding him, and his optics lay upon one single Decepticon, and it is that of Megatron. Fallen. Megatron. His voice echoing out in the lands of the Star Harvester as all is quiet. Fallen. It seems we both ended up on this planet called Remnant. Or, it used to be Planet of Remnant. And from what I see here, you achieved something great, greater than anything you have achieved when you were under my tutelage, when you failed back on Earth. But here, you were able to turn this planet into Cybertron, and created an army with it. From the tone of the Fallen, the Decepticons have a feeling he will not need Megatron's usefulness anymore, given Megatron has done the work for him. Megatron, my master, this wasn't just my hard work, it was my Decepticons as well. We all built a home and restored Cybertron in its former glory, and all I ask of you. As he kneels in front of the Star Harvester, but Megatron knows what will come next if he plays his cards right. A small smirk forming in his face. Megatron, is if you are willing to rule alongside me as we conquer not only the galaxy, but the worlds beyond our reach. Show them the meaning of the Decepticon name. All of the Decepticons there wait for the Fallen's response, and what they got was the Fallen laughing maniacally. Fallen. Oh, Megatron. You would be a fool to think I would let you rule alongside me. My plans for you have changed, and all I seek is to rule this planet under my own image, and with you and your Decepticons ruling this world, I shall ensure your forces are extinguished completely, so that no one will overthrow my rule or rebel against me. I shall not make the same mistake as before, and this starts with you, Megatron. Megatron. I see. So be it. He stands up and stares at the Fallen. Suddenly, Megatron hears the sounds of cheering. Megatron turns around to see all of the Decepticons shouting out war cries as they charge behind him. He looks to his right, seeing Barricade leading the charge on that side alongside Bonecrusher, Brawl, Blackout, Sideways, with Shockwave walking behind them alongside the Dreads who sprint ahead of him. Then to his left, we Stinger, Dreadbot, Berserker, and Grinder charging forward, with Onslaught and Devcon running behind them. Megatron raises his arm up and screams out a war cry as well, with Starscream, Soundwave, and Nitro Zeus in their jet forms flying right past him as they head to battle. The Decepticons continue to sprint into battle as we see the Constructicons heading in, with Skipjack jumping and spinning in the air as he transforms into the left leg, followed by Long Haul who jumps and transforms into the right leg. Then the torso and waist form as we see Overload and Scavenger combine. This was followed up by Mixmaster driving and jumping towards the neck, forming the head. The body slowly stands upright as Scrapper combines and forms the right arm. Then finally, Hightower and Scrap Metal forming the left arm and hand. The Fallen's forces are now met with Devastator. Fallen. Attack. He points his arm forward, with multiple areas in the Star Harvester suddenly start transforming and forming into doors as the Fallen's armies start charging out of it and into the battlefield. These are none other than Decepticon protoforms, armed with Cybertronian guns. The rest of the Decepticons can be seen charging at the horde of protoforms, with Megatron firing his fusion cannon, taking out the protoforms as they near the Decepticons. And once they reach the middle, the two sides clash. There, we see Starscream making the first kill, using his buzzsaw and rips apart a protoform's head. Then the rest of the Decepticons followed suit. We see Shockwave slashing a protoform with his arm blade, then follows it up by blasting the protoform and a few others with his hand cannon. Soundwave, armed with his twin turbo wave pistols, fires a shot. This in turn caused a sort of wave of energy that pushes the protoforms forward as their bodies explode into pieces. Now there's Barricade using his mace, swinging it around and sending multiple protoforms to the ground, then Bonecrusher who uses his claws to stab through the protoforms while roller skating and firing his Gatling guns. Brawl wreaking havoc by stabbing a protoform right from his chest to his head, firing his rapid Gatling guns and follows it up with a swarm of rockets from his missile launcher. And Blackout comes in, unleashing the energy wave cannon as a wave of energy completely destroys the protoforms, their flaming bodies flying in the air. Blackout even ripped apart a couple of protoforms with his rotor blades, their body parts falling to the ground in pieces. It continues off with Sideways tackling a protoform before ripping it to shreds using his saw blades, then sprints on ahead as he fires his plasma sniper gun. Then we see Grinder marching in, firing his Gatling gun at the protoforms. Multiple protoforms can be seen being crushed into pieces as Demolisher flattens them, even grabbing a couple of protoforms and throwing them away. Then Stinger with his KSI sentries, who fires off shots with his plasma gun. Finally, we see Nitro Zeus taking position beside Infernicus, Nitro Zeus firing his armed cannon and missiles, as the battle rages on. The Fallen sees the Decepticons engaging his forces as an all-out war is ravaging the lands of the Star Harvester, his only response to seeing this is to laugh. Fallen, even if your Decepticons have the means to stop my armies, they are no match for my might, Megatron. You and your Decepticons will fail. Megatron, that is where you are wrong. I now possess a power greater than anything you can ever imagine. And that is the power of the blood of Unicron. Now, witness the power of Dark Energon. He screams out loud as Dark Energon courses through Megatron's body. He equips the Dark Star Saber and sends out a large slash wave towards the Fallen, who sees this and jumps towards the air, dodging the slash wave as it causes an explosion by the Star Harvester. The Fallen can now be seen engulfed with yellow energy on his hands as he hovers in the sky. Fallen, you dare challenge me? I am a Prime. He looks towards Megatron, the Fallen's hands being engulfed with more energy as he fires out beams of circular energy towards Megatron, who dodges the attack. Megatron, and like a Prime, they can be defeated. You are not invincible. Megatron then fires out shots from his fusion cannon while sending out slash waves from the Dark Star Saber, the Fallen using his telekinesis to hover the debris around him, all of them engulfed with yellow energy as he sends them flying towards Megatron, who uses the Dark Star Saber to slice them in half. But was hit with a large blast of energy that sends the Decepticon leader crashing on the ground in an explosion. Fallen, you made the mistake of facing me, Megatron. You are nothing but a failed Maquis. Bang. Fallen. What? He looks at the flames and sees Megatron still standing, his right arm now forming into a projection of what appears to be a creature. It is purple in color and is spiky in appearance. He aims the blaster cannon at the Fallen, and fires, sending him crashing to the Star Harvester as Megatron activates his boosters and flies towards him. Back with the Decepticons, they can be seen dispatching numerous protoforms as their dead bodies fall to the ground in the dozens. By the middle, we can see Nitro Zeus firing his arm cannon alongside Stinger, who takes out a group of protoforms with his plasma gun, as explosions run wild with Brawl firing off a set of 4 rockets followed up by rounds from his claw machine gunner. Behind them, Infernicus continues to fire more shots with his cannons, when all of a sudden, boom! The Decepticon's back was hit with an explosion as Infernicus nearly falls to the ground but stables himself. He looks to his right and sees the protoforms have their own set of fighter crafts. He looks over to the fighter crafts and fires an assortment of rounds, hitting a few of the fighter crafts and destroying them, with one flying uncontrollably until it hits the fighter craft as it causes a chain reaction. The fighter crafts crashed beside the fleeing protoforms, who can be retreating out of there but failing. Why, you may ask? Well, Devastator has unleashed his vortex grinder, pulling every single protoform to its mouth, many of them screaming in fear as those who were in the vortex grinder were ripped to pieces. And those that weren't sucked into Devastator's vortex grinder were met the same fate by the form of the driller. It continuously bursts from the ground, causing many of the protoforms to be sent flying in the air and crashing on the ground. Those that were on the ground were met with the Decepticons annihilating them with their weapons. Then the few unlucky ones were ripped apart when they went inside Driller's mouth, which, like with Devastator, also rips them into pieces. The rest of the protoforms can be seen being disposed of, as Megatron gave the signal to release the Terracons. The Terracons all letting out screeches and roars as they took to the skies. The Terracons began swarming the protoforms as they ripped them to shreds, the battlefield now engulfed with legions of Terracons, the tide turning into the Decepticons' favor. Back with Megatron, he continues firing out shots with the cannon as the Fallen gets sent flying to the ground. The Fallen teleports behind Megatron and was about to unleash a blast of energy, but Megatron saw this coming and stomps his foot on the ground, releasing a beam of Dark Energon that causes the Fallen to scream in pain. Remember, Megatron was given the gift of Dark Energon, the blood of Unicron. He has the means to defeat the Fallen, even without being a Prime. Megatron hits the Fallen with a sucker punch, followed by an uppercut, staggering him as Megatron proceeds to deliver more punches, sparks flying out after every hit. Having enough, the Fallen creates energy by his left hand, spinning his body around and hitting Megatron, sending him flying as he crashes to the ground. Fallen, I will not be defeated. Suddenly, the Fallen was subjected to Dark Energon crystals that start trapping him. Megatron immediately creates a projection of a spiked spear and throws it at the Fallen, causing an explosion that sends him crashing to the Star Harvester. Megatron charges in, not letting the Fallen get any leg room, producing a projection of a spiked hammer and hitting the Fallen numerous times, adding in the cannon and using it as a brass knuckle. The Fallen is down on the ground, as Megatron raises the hammer up and smacks it at the Fallen's head, sending him down to the ground once again. He then grabs the Fallen by the neck, Megatron's cannon now charging up with electricity as a bright light erupts in the mouth of the cannon. Megatron, so much for being a prime. Boom. A large blast of dark energon sends the Fallen crashing in the Star Harvester, damaging it as the Fallen is absolutely furious at what's happening. Fallen. Impossible. A primitive like you shouldn't have this kind of power. Megatron. As Optimus would say, this power is earned, not given. Now, face our might. Bang. Suddenly, the Fallen was hit in the chest as an explosion erupts. He falls over to the Star Harvester, holding his chest in pain, now looking over to who has done that, and it's revealed to be none other than Lockdown. He was waiting for the right moment to hit the Fallen right at his weak spot, a weak spot Megatron was able to spot, and used his face cannon with extreme accuracy. Fallen. You'll all pay. Boom. The Fallen sends out a large burst of energy that causes Megatron and all of the Decepticons to be sent flying as Megatron took cover by the structures near the Star Harvester. Fallen. I will not let this stand. I am a prime, and I will not let some primitives defeat me. Megatron. And now, it's time I end this, my master. The Fallen raises his left arm up, using telekinesis to lift the debris up and sending them hurling towards Megatron, who can be seen flying to the Star Harvester. He dodges the debris being thrown at him, as he slides towards the Star Harvester. Looking upwards and preparing the Dark Star Saber, the Fallen sending out blasts of energy as Megatron dodges them once again. Then, the Fallen was met with Megatron hovering in the air above him. And stab. Megatron boosted himself towards the Fallen, stabbing him right at his head, as Megatron removes the Dark Star Saber, now hovering in the air, watching the Fallen's body fall in the Star Harvester. Megatron flies back to his Decepticons as more explosions erupt in the Star Harvester. This victory is theirs. He lands in front of his Decepticons as many of them can be seen cheering for their leader. Decepticons. All hail, Lord Megatron. Megatron then sees Soundwave and Shockwave walking up to him. Shockwave. Lord Megatron, scans indicate the Star Harvester has been deactivated and majority of the Fallen's forces have surrendered to us. But we have reports a few of them fled the area. I've sent squads to hunt them down immediately. Soundwave. And we calculated the damage of the Star Harvester, no major damages are present. We can start having the Constructicons deconstructed and use it for other projects, Lord Megatron. Or do you wish to keep it? Megatron. Let us not waste the Star Harvester, Soundwave. I have some uses for it, but my main concern is what lies deep beneath the grounds of Cybertron. Timeskip. Under the grounds of the Star Harvester, we can see Megatron walking alongside Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave as they head on over to the room that Soundwave stated the army of protoforms are located. Megatron. Today, we will unleash the only force worthy of our trust. They reach the doors as Soundwave heads on over to the console, which is by the left side of the door. Once that happens, the console transforms itself back to the ground as the doors open. Megatron. An army born to serve us. Each is enslaved upon creation, to answer only to my command and the Decepticon cause. There, the minute they enter, they were met with a large room, filled to the brim with hatchling eggs hanging on the ceiling and stasis pods stuck to the ground. From what they see, it's endless, and there are more of these around the planet. Megatron. Arise, my brothers. Megatron goes over to a much larger console and presses the button in the middle. There, the hatchling eggs start to open as a hand sticks out of it. And more of them come out of the hatchling eggs with numerous stasis pods opening as the optics of the protoforms activate. Megatron. Yes, your time has come. Arise. The age of the Decepticons is here. And it truly has begun. Long live the Decepticons. There, Megatron stands in the middle as he is met with an army of protoforms that are here to serve him and his Decepticon cause. Timeskip. It's been a couple of days since the attack on the Star Harvester, and now, we see the Decepticons amassing their fleet. Where will they go, you may ask? Easy, they wish to spread their rule across the galaxy, and there is nothing anyone can do to stop them. As for certain individuals, Scourge and his group decided to stay in New Count, ruling their own sector in the planet. The same can be said for Tarn's band of Decepticon super soldiers, and the Predacons, led by Beast Megatron, alongside the now named Predacon, whose brethren are alive and well. For Lockdown, he took his band of mercenaries and left the planet, but he did say to Megatron that if the Decepticons wish for his help, he's the Cybertronian for the job. Back in New Count, the airfield is filled with numerous ships and fighter crafts, all ready to be deployed. We can see amongst their ranks, Liam, Alcee, and Jade, who all got their alt forms. Liam is a Cybertronian jet, Alcee's a tank, while Jade's a vehicle that can turn into a satellite. The three of them can be seen helping out the fleet as they are now brought into the ranks of the Decepticons. Now, we are brought to the throne room, one fit for a ruler, as we can see Megatron sitting on his throne, basking the land that is now New Count and the beginning of the age of the Decepticons. Beside him are his three lieutenants, Starscream, Soundwave, and Shockwave. Besides Starscream, imagine the ones by Megatron's side are Soundwave and Shockwave. Megatron, finish what's left of the Fallen's forces. We are done here. He raises his arm forward, revealing the one in the front of him to be that of Barricade, who is standing in the middle of the throne. Once the command was given, Barricade and the Decepticons by the entrance, Bonecrusher, Brawl, and Blackout, take their leave as the Decepticons' conquest of the galaxy has begun. End. And this is the end of this What If. I hope you guys like it. Do not forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe to the channel.